I'm going to try to record a video that will show you how to validate a form. Because this is mainly for group B, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible without using functions that may or may not have created, like check length. But this demo uses check length, which means it checks for a minimum or maximum length. And let's see how it works. Basically, you have to see that these fields are not empty, and your assignment tells you which fields they are. So if somebody tries to submit this form, it says this field does not meet the required length. So okay, I can put something here, and when I submit again, uh, that error goes away. But it does tell me that this field does not meet the required type. So then submit it. So it says yep, okay. Now it meets the required type. Let me try to put a phone. So it requires 10 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now it says the field does not meet the required type. So now it's 10, and you can see now it's okay. And please choose one option, and then it sort of works. I think my code had an error because it earlier, see, it gives true. Oh, that's because I've got an alert in my code, that's right. But there it does, this is not the correct type. And now that's the correct type, and it sends an email. So let's see how we can do this. Your assignment asks you to create an external JavaScript file. So you have seen the script tag. So you have a script tag here, script and end of the script tag. Now inside the script tag, you normally write type is equal to text JavaScript. You are going to write source. You will create a separate JavaScript file. You are going to create a separate JavaScript file, and you're going to link to it. And that JavaScript is validate.js because it is linked to it. You can see here. Now I will create this again, so don't worry. What I'm going to do is I'll say validate2. Okay, so I'm going to link to validate2.js. But before that, there are a few things that you must understand about your form. So all of you, if you have passed assignment 2, you have a form. Your form should have a name. It should have an action. Now this action should take place only when the form is valid. For that, this fellow on submit will go and try and look at a function called validate. And my validate2 is empty, so I'll create it in a moment. Anyway, inside this JavaScript, the form will go and search for a function called validate. Now validate is going to return either true or false. We are going to create it in such a way that it will return either true or false. If it returns false, this form will not be sent. This guy holds the form. This guy holds the form. If it's false, the form won't work. And the method is post, but nothing will be posted if this is false. That's how the form is held. You probably have labels. I've omitted them just to make the code look clean. But you basically have an input field, maybe first name. Very important that underneath your first name, you have a paragraph or a div tag. And see, I've got a p tag. And this p tag has got an ID. This ID could be error message, or it could be first name error. Okay. This extra bit that I've put here, style color equal to red, is just to make the error message in red. Style, and if you say color red, it's just an inline style. Now if you are used to classes and you have got a class called error, you can say class is equal to error, and maybe dot error is defined in your style sheet as color red. Okay, so you can do that. So this is what that extra line is, which I already have here. So for every input phone, for every required input for phone, I've got message phone, message first name. These messages are error messages. For email, message email, and for checkbox, message check. And then I have two buttons, submit and reset. So the only extra bit I have in my form, which you may not have, is these p tags or div tags or whatever, something with an ID to hold the error message. And I've got a form name. Now let's look at constructing validate.to.js. So I'm going to create a new JavaScript file, new JavaScript, and you can say I'm clicking JavaScript, create. I'm going to save it as file, save as. I'm going to create it as validate2. I have it somewhere, JavaScript. Where is this gone? This is in, that's in form valid. So let me save this in form valid. Desktop 2014 form valid. I'll call it validate2. I had some trouble with the validate2.js, so I've just created it and I'll explain what I did. Because the first task is to check, basically check if field is empty. If not, then check if it meets pattern. So as in, if it's a name, it should be text. If it's a phone number, it should be numbers, and so on. So this is my function validate, starting with valid true. And whenever I encounter a problem, if there are problems, valid will be set to false. And in the end, we return valid just before the function ends. Function ends here, just before it ends, we are going to return valid. So if valid is false, the form won't be sent. So I've got a function on top here, function empty. It will take any field. It will check the field dot length if it's 0. If it's 0, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Very simple. It may be different to the one in your notes, but this one works. Now, the validate function, I've set valid to true, and I'm saying, let's take the first field, first name. First name is the name of the field inside my form, and we need to check its value. So if empty, myForm.firstName.value. I can set it in a variable and use that variable here as well, but understand this. If empty myForm.firstName.value, then valid is false because the field is empty. And then set an error message. Remember this error message here, ID message first name. Document.getElement by ID message first name .inner HTML. This field cannot be empty. Okay, so much we have written. Let us test it. I have I put some text there. I'll just clear that. So now if I submit this, it says this field cannot be empty. Okay, I might put a breaking space there. So I get an empty space, and this field cannot be empty. And the moment I put something, I need to erase that message, right? I need to erase that message. Also, I need to check for this, that if it is numbers, it should not send an email. So let's do that. A very important thing is when you're setting messages, in my example, what I'm doing is the moment the function is set to validate, I'm setting any message that I set in the code at the beginning, I'm setting it to 0. See what that does. So I'm setting clearing messages. Okay, see what that does. Now when I run my code, if I submit, I get this, and when I put something, that message gets cleared. Cool. And if I want to prevent it from jumping, I can put a non-breaking space there if I want. Okay, so I'll leave that. I can put a div tag with the width and height, so it's always there. But basically, that's an error. You can also change the focus to this point, and when I type something, that goes away and sends an email. Now I need to check that it should not accept numbers. How do I do that? Next part. So now, right now we have seen if empty, problem, else if not. Okay, now we will make a pattern. If not, name pattern dot test. We're going to test it. You can use test, you can use match. We don't have a name pattern yet, but this name pattern is a variable. We are going to test it against the value, and if that test does not return true, so not, then we will flag false. So if not name pattern test against this, if that's not the case, if it's not returning true, then we can actually pretty much copy this whole thing because it works. Then valid is false and say this field should be text only. Cool. Understand this. I'm first checking if it's empty. Okay, it's not empty. Cool. So it doesn't go here, comes here. Else, otherwise come here. Test against name pattern. But I need to give it a name pattern. So I've got clearing messages here. I'll put one for patterns. Now you will learn in regular expressions. I'm going to put a variable here, variable name pattern. I'll put a regular expression to this variable, and I'm going to give it a pattern. The pattern starts with this, okay, and it ends with dollar and slash, and it cannot have any unnecessary spaces here. Okay, these spaces are going to go. Okay, it starts with this and ends with that. Now this is how you can say text only, and you will learn this. I want A to Z. I can also allow capitals, capital A to Z, and this can happen repeatedly. I'm just going to take away these extra spaces. So now A to Z and A to Z, and this can happen repeatedly. Now there is something called regexpal, and I should show it to you right now. regexpal.com, regular expression pal. So if I'm testing for text data, anything that is text and capitals also and small capitals, then let me see if this regular expression will work. A hyphen Z, good. If I say plus, so it is accepting small a to z, comma a hyphen z capital. So you see it's accepting anything capital or small, capital small, capital small. So this is a good regular expression. A to z small, comma a to z big with a plus sign. Now I'm saying check if it's empty. If my name is empty, say this field cannot be empty. Otherwise, take this name pattern and test the pattern against the value in first name. If it matches, good. If it doesn't match, if not, if that's not the case, and you can see I've got the not, then valid false. This field should be text only. Very good. Let's see if this works. Submit, field cannot be empty. I give it some numbers, submit, This field should be text only. I give it some text. It's very happy. It sends an email. This is the entire process of your assignment. This is the process of your assignment. You see that? Now all of this was for name, first name. I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to use it for phone. See? And what do I have for phone? What do I have? Oh, P is capital. So just be careful. I should have been following the camel case. And actually, let me do that. Camel case. So let me make my P small. And message phone. So that's good. Message phone. So if empty, this field cannot be empty. Else, phone pattern. I'm going to make a phone pattern now and test it with phone value. Okay. So this field should have 10 numbers. Okay, I don't know if that's the case, but I think it was the case last year. 10 numbers. Now I need to make a phone pattern. See on top here? Oh, by the way, I need to even clear the message because I'm setting message phone now. That also has to be cleared. Message phone. And now just to have a name pattern, I need a phone pattern. I think it is, I can put 0 to 9 and plus means repeatedly, but if I say 10, it will say 10 exactly. Okay? So that should work for 10, and regexpal actually says that that's the correct way. So for example, let me put 10 digits here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's 10 digits. And the regular expression for that should be 0 to 9. And if I say plus, the problem is it will allow more. It will allow more digits. But if I want just 10, 3, 6, 9, 10. If I just want 10, this should work, 10. And see, it doesn't take the 11th digit. Also, if it's less than 10, it flags it as wrong. So this is the correct regular expression. But some browsers don't sort of obey that, and it's annoying. But that's a good expression, phone pattern. So now we are checking phone value. If empty phone value, false, set the message this cannot be empty. Otherwise, if not the case where phone pattern tests against phone value, then again false and say this should have 10 numbers. Let's have a look at this. Let's run this. So now when I submit, okay, something has gone wrong. I've broken something. Let me go and check. If empty my form phone value, valid false, documented, okay, this cannot be empty. Else if not phone pattern dot test, so phone pattern is there. My form dot phone dot value. Let me see if this much works so I can find out where exactly it's broken. I'm missing my error console and I don't know where it's gone. Okay, so it is returning true somehow. This is going, it's not going inside the if statement. Okay, so when did it break exactly? Oh, this is a problem. This guy. When it encounters an error here, it will break your code. This one was breaking the code. So let's try again. And this is very nasty here. If it encounters an error here, it just jumps down. If empty phone, message phone, have 10 numbers. And this was phone pattern. This was phone value. That looks okay. And let me try again. So yeah, there you go. Field cannot be empty. I put numbers here and I put text here. It says this should be text only. This should have only 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. I come here, I give it some text, and both of them are working fine. Okay, so that's how you're going to do your assignment really. And then the checkbox is also quite simple, that if check 1 not checked and check 2 not checked, then give an error. So I've got some checkboxes which you should have in your assignment, and I'll just do that last bit as well, just for checkboxes, and then you can go around and fix out everything else. I've left the most difficult part for you, the email testing, but basically the last part is uh, if what are the name, check 1. So basically if my form dot check 1 dot checked is equal to false, or you can say not. Yeah, Brendan told me both of these work. And okay, so whenever if you don't understand not, you can actually say if this checked, first one is checked equal to false, and even the second one is false. If check 2 checked is also false. Okay, if it is true that this is not checked and that is not checked, then you can say valid is false. You can say valid is false, and document.get element by ID, what is it called, message check. So message check is please choose at least one option. Okay, there you go. But again, because we are setting a message here at the beginning, and don't go around putting this before, because otherwise your program will crash if it doesn't find message check. Let's reset it to empty. So let's see if this works. Okay, it's broken, it's returning false. Okay, I found the error, and the error was really here because of this missing quote. All of this was undefined, and you can see when I put the quote, then these become input types. Such a mistake, as a tiny mistake causes a grave error. Anyway, so my form.1, if that is false, and check 2 is also false, check 2 is also false, then basically set valid to false and give a message, and this hopefully should work. You can see, please choose at least one option, and when I click it, that's gone. And when I give something here, that should go away, and now my form is working. You of course also have to do this for email and so on and so forth. It's a long assignment, it will take a lot of work. So anyway, I hope you can finish it. All the best for that. And I'll just scan this a bit slowly so you can have a look at it. And that's what I've done. Don't copy this. Your teachers will know it's copied from the video. So don't try and copy it. Try to work and do it yourself.